What's your name? Five, Daily Five.
Five, I
There we
like
go.
it, yeah,
You like that?
James
It's
Bond.
quite cute, isn't it?
Yeah, Five,
Yeah.
Daily Five.
But no, super excited to be here. And yeah, I think what we're doing now was inevitable. Yeah, not let fear kind of corrupt your life, you know, because I was
Yep.
very fearful once upon a time, very, very hopeless. Some of my story is extreme. Yeah, although that, you know, I've got my fingerprint on Daily Five, it's definitely not about me. It's just things that I picked up along the way over time that have served me really well. We are a start for a lot of people,
Yep.
but obviously we're not here to be an instead of. We can complement what already exists. What I'm trying to say is that we are trying to create something quite unique and special where everyone can do what they love and be part of Daily Five and what we represent.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about some of the stuff you've done now, your little kind of sports background. I know you've done some extreme stuff because where that's kind of relevant to both brands in VOW, Daily Five, right? Is, you know, and I've got my own experiences in sport and I know everything starts with a vow. Everything starts with making a commitment and a promise to yourself, right? So you don't just say, I want to go and run a marathon. And you turn up 6 weeks later in a brand new pair of trainers and try and run a marathon.
Some
right?
people do.
Some people do,
Yeah.
but your feet are going to hurt.
Yes, yeah.
But, you know, some people do, right? But depending on the type of individual you are, and I know the type of individual you are because I know what I am, and we've known each other long enough, you're going to say, right, I'm going to run a marathon. I want to do the best I possibly can. So, you know, you go away, you create a plan, and you go, right, it's going to be 3 months training. I'm going to build it up so many miles a day, so many miles a day, this week, so many miles, so on, right? You know way more about this than I do, though, right? To be honest
I
with
don't
you.
know.
But yeah, so I want to go a little bit into that because I think it shows you as an individual of how you've been able to make commitments. And I know we spoke about some of the stuff you've gone through, and to recover from some of the stuff you've gone through, you have to make a commitment. Say, right, I might make the little 1% changes every single day of my life, but if I can do 1% a week, I'm 10% better in 10 weeks. Do you know what I mean? And that's how I've always looked at stuff, right? It's not about putting pressure on yourself to make massive improvements, make the small improvements because eventually they all add up. So I want to get your view on that. And I want to know a little bit more about some of the stuff that you've gone off and you've done and you've put yourself through as just literally a personal challenge to say, right, I can do that.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I don't often go in this direction with the podcast. So good question, because the reason why it's a good question is because I don't know the answer. Everything from a spiritual point of view, and not to sound woo-woo or kind of disconnect. No, but some people disconnect from terminology like that. Like I said, I speak in certain ways now just because over time it's just the way I am and the way I'm tuned into the world. But so what I mean is I sobered up 18, settled down early. You kind of mentioned it earlier on in the conversation around, you know, my day-to-day life was very different to how it was now. And I also smoked Marlboro Lights, you know, for a good few years after giving up the Stella Artois and other bits. So they restrict you from wanting to go running or, you know, being active. So so I was never consistent. That kind of world wasn't part of my life, you know, and I wouldn't say I was the healthiest guy either. I mean, I've always been pretty trim and you know, looked after myself in a lot of ways, but I could eat what I like and all that kind of stuff. But I was like early 20s, you know, settled down young and my daughters, etc. But it wasn't until I gave up smoking in like 2011, 2012 that my life changed forever. So I had the spiritual side. I've had years of retreats, workshops, masculine stuff, kind of silent retreats, that, you know, the anonymouses, all that side of life. So I was, you know, pretty much self-aware enough to kind of have a level of understanding of who I was, what I wanted to do, and the kind of person I wanted to be. So that was an amazing education. So a lot of time was spent, you know, really diving into that side of life. And then, kind of I knew that smoking wasn't very good for me. I knew it needed to go. My daughters started to read, so they could see on the side of the cigarette packet that smoking kills. And that used to, you know, play around with my heart a little bit. So anyway, the day come. So I suppose now we're getting into the conversation of giving stuff up. Yes, I've experienced giving other things up, but cigarettes were a tough nut to crack, you know. But in order to kind of stay stopped, you know, I was aware enough to know you needed to have a level of consistency, you know, that you needed to dig deep, that you needed a level of support and, you know, frameworks around me to kind of lean into when, you know, the hours or the days or the minutes were getting a bit tricky and I really wanted to have a cigarette. and I was leaning into all the different things. And I remember once, so it's good you're talking to me, because as I'm talking, 1,000 thoughts are going through. I remember after a period of time with the cigarettes in particular, saying to myself, I remember feeling like really, it was on me. I really wanted to have a cigarette. It's probably a couple of months in now. And I worked really, really hard up until that time to kind of, because, there was lots of moments during that period of time, which I wanted one, but this one was extreme. It's really intense. And I remember saying to myself, next time you give up, because you're going to want to give up again, it's just a no-brainer. You're going to feel like this. So every time you feel like this, are you going to give up or are you going to persevere? Because on the other side of this is freedom. And I remember consciously saying, like it was yesterday, and I've not smoked since, And so where that served me well is that I kind of knew that, yes, like in these moments, you needed to kind of just think beyond that initial impulse, that compulsion, that kind of obsession of just like, no, I need to escape something or, whatever that habit brought, negative habits, cigarettes and some of the other bits we've spoken about. And then I started to run, and a good friend of mine said, okay, let's start to run together. And never had any experience of running. I was never a cross-country runner. I'd never sporty growing up. I started drinking and taking drugs at like 11. So, I played a bit of rugby, but nothing outrageous. I was no elite sportsman. I showed no, enthusiasm for it necessarily. So, fast forward all them years, and it's like, okay, I trusted this good friend of mine. He used to be an elite sportsman. So he had the evidence in his life to suggest he knew what it brought. I didn't. Going into it with an open mind. But it makes sense, not oblivious to all this. You kind of knew that being active, etc., was good for you. But it was new territory for me. And very quickly, I just kind of, my life changed. I was very consistent with the running. It was a very mindful practice for me. I never really got what I never have done still today, get caught up with the PB. I can tell you my PB in anything, 5Ks, 10Ks. But so although I don't follow plans, I know what it takes to kind of be consistent, that kind of accountability, that kind of incrementally just, through that lens, you get a bit faster, you go a bit longer, and then all of a sudden different frequencies in your mind open up. And it's kind of, I've done some amazing challenges, and a lot I don't talk about because I don't need to share everything about anything that I do. They're just my own little micro challenges. A lot of what I do is visionary. So I do find that with running in particular, these kind of short, sharp, over in a day, whatever, serve me really well because I can kind of get a clear outcome quite quickly. Where a lot of the other stuff that I get up to is, it is what it is, different pathways. But I love that side of life now. I love cardio. I love fitness. I love being active. I'm active most days. It's kind of created some incredible, unbelievable experiences in my life through the Grateful Mile that I founded. I created an amazing community in Hertfordshire called Your Town, which expanded across the country, which done amazing things in communities around being active and about, all this kind of stuff. And just from running, keeping at it. So,
and you're taking that to Dubai as well, mate, haven't you?
Yeah, taking it to Dubai, taking it to Australia, and that's on its way. That exists in the world. It's a beautiful thing that I'm super, super proud of. But my own personal journey with it, I've stumbled across things. I'm a little bit random maybe, and if in the moment it sparks my imagination, I'm pretty much quite spontaneous and just do it. The 24-hour thing that I've done, which sparks the Grateful Mile. I've done the Goggins, like 4 miles every 4 hours. That was cool. I've done this, they called it Calendar Club, where you go out and every day you run the cave or what day it is and incrementally over the years. So, done some good stuff.
It's a nice story because it's very much breaking the chains of an addiction, right? Which a lot of people have.
Yeah. Well, breaking a habit is one of the toughest things to do to start something new and to break something that's old is so tough.
I think it's a good story for people to hear because I think a lot of people get tied down by addictions, right? And it doesn't have to be smoking, doesn't have to be drugs, alcohol. Could be, silly things. Addicted to your phone.
Yeah, of course. Right? Yeah, that's not silly. Right? Yeah, mate, it's all
because we live in a world right now where there's more addictions than there's ever been.
Yeah, well, we live in a world where, it depends on what you're kind of, what you're consuming, but we're told to escape pretty much every minute of every day, go and read this or go and watch this, binge watch this, or go there, stay indoors, don't go out, don't get, it's relentless, and we get, and very quickly that conditioned mind falls into that trap.
And there's a lot more negativity in the world than there ever used to be, right? There's, I always laugh, and you show your age when you go. I remember the days when there was only 4 TV channels, right?
Yeah.
And every night there was a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Only Fools and Horses, One Foot in the Grave, whatever these
classic,
things were, right? People would go into the office the next day and everyone would talk about it because basically everyone watched the
One
same
Foot in the
things,
Grave,
right?
It's a classic.
I loved it, mate.
Yeah.
But everyone spoke about those things, and it created this social thing, laughter in the office and everything else. You turn on TV now and it's like dark drama, right? So we're feeding ourselves with a lot of negative stuff. And I think sometimes it's breaking the chains from these things and trying to do something positive. And I love that story. There's 2 things I love about that. One, you make a decision, you say, right, no more. And the freedom word you use there is a big word, right? Because quite often certain things trap you in life, and breaking away from that is freedom, and it's massive relief. And the other bit was, you mentioned a friend who was a runner. He said, come for a run, come and do something, right? And potentially we all have those people, that one person that might say, come and give this a go, and you do it and it changes your life forever.
Yeah, whether it's someone in your network or whether it's someone on the TV,
right?
Like we all need that source of inspiration to kind of spark that imagination in your mind to think, I could do that, or I want to do that, or what does that feel like? And just I go back to that open-mindedness around things, and just giving something a go. So kind of all feeds into it, because like with that, you can kind of just unlock something in you that just kind of keeps you going. And then what I've found over time is when that curiosity kind of outweighs the not the mundane, but the day to day, like you're on it. Like it's just opening up gateways in your mind, and you're getting enthusiastic about it. You're getting inspired, and all of a sudden you just kind of go over that kind of invisible line of where it's a habit now. And they kind of say 21 days and 66 days, whatever it takes to kind of build established habits. But I've got so much evidence in my life now to know that to be true. And it's just about us having our own evidence that's what we need, because you could see it and it could feel unattainable, and you can see these amazing people on the telly and the elitists, and we can't relate in certain ways. So to have somebody in your inner network is always amazing, but you can't beat someone that's been there and done it and doing it. And that's where we're not unique. We've all got it in us to do it. Yeah, we really have. Whatever that looks like, and whatever that feels like for you, it hasn't got that comparison and divide rips us apart as society, as individuals. It's a no-go for me. I still do it. I'm guilty. It's just human brain and, the judgmental brain. But ultimately, it's in all of us to do whatever. It's all just as important, as impactful, So,
I completely agree. And I think, obviously, we've already mentioned, we've known each other a little while now. And we connected in a lot of different ways, right? Because of probably the way we think, past experiences, all of this stuff. But I think this is where this is, for me, this partnership, between us and then the brands we've got, VOW, Daily 5.
Yeah, it's powerful, mate.
Right? And I think this is where it's nice for me, because not everybody has somebody that comes along and says, give this a go, right? So quite often you have to make the decisions, right? So, the VOW brand was, reminding people, why are you going to take sports supplements? Generally, you take sports supplements because you started going to the gym. You've made a commitment to yourself. I want to get in better shape. I want to lose weight. I want to be able to run further without having to stop. I want to be able to, it's all these little things, right? It's not always about lifting weights, like we spoke about running, right? And everybody would know that first time you go for a run, you might run a mile when you think, man, oh God, I'm walking home now.
Every time you go for a run,
right?
It takes a while to get into it, but
it does, right? And it's like, you have. I used to be an athlete years ago and sprint and stuff, and I've tried to get back into things. I can't just go out and sprint full out, right? I'm still working my way back, but it's a little bit of a commitment of bit faster, bit longer, bit faster. Right? Otherwise, it's just everything breaks. I'm getting old now, mate. Right?
But it's that kind of. We're built in those ways, and if we're lucky enough to move in certain ways, then we should, because it's an important life experience to put yourself in that territory. Like I said, not so extreme, it's not push yourself to the edge. I'm not necessarily about that life either, but just that level of resilience and the learnings you get in life. What I've learned about life during, forget about some of the stuff that I've done, the silent retreats and some of all that kind of jazz. What I've learned through running, when you want to stop, but you keep going, not wanting to go out, but leaving the front door, even to get out of bed and leave the front door certain days is enough. The amount of time, still now, I've been running for all these years, ran X amount of miles, never regret a run. still now, more often than not, it's still a challenge to get outside because the mind's like, I'll do it tomorrow. You don't need to do it. It's like, for God's sake, please leave me alone.
And there's always something going on, right? There's always
Yeah.
an excuse, it's like the old Rocky saying that, life knocks you down, and you have to keep getting back up.
Yeah. But I think it's important, and it's always about the approach, for me. And I said that there was, although I kind of shared that story around the running with my power in particular, I did approach him to say, I don't know if this running thing's for me. I knew that I needed to be consistent. I'd give it a good few months. So I wasn't just one run. No, thank you very much. Yeah. So I kind of give myself that, but it wasn't until he kind of reminded me of how I approach other things in life that I attached that to the running side of it, and all of a sudden just the mindset shifted, my approach to it, just my whole relationship with it just kept me locked in,
And it's human nature to talk ourselves out of stuff. Right? And you mentioned the word earlier, fear, right? The world is full of it. People worry about money constantly, right? People worry about wars. People worry about things that are going on in this country, other countries. Fear's always around you. And it creates a bit of negativity, but it's the fact that someone says, go and do a run, it'll make you feel better. My ankles have been a bit stiff recently. I've got a bit of pain in my arm. We're really good. It's human nature. We're all taught that we're really good to make up excuses, right? It's so easy to just sit on your ass and do nothing and make up an excuse why you shouldn't do it. And I think this is where, I suppose, with what you're trying to achieve with Daily 5 and what we're trying to achieve with VOW and where it aligns in the synergy is we're trying to help people make a commitment.
Yeah, start anywhere, wherever you are, whatever you've got, whether you've got all the money in the world or whether you've got none at all. Like you said, there's 1,000 excuses. Just kind of get going in that minute, in that 5 minutes. Give yourself 5 minutes, see where that leads you, make that vow and crack on, and literally guarantee you're going to go somewhere.
Yeah. And I don't know with what we're going to try and do, and I'll change the subject a little bit now because but part of the partnership we want to do, we want people to make vows and commitments, right? We're not saying go and buy VOW products, right? As much as please go and buy VOW products.
They're good. They taste amazing.
Right. But it is the fact that we want people to make commitments. We want to know that if we can make a little bit of a difference to a few lives, it makes a big difference overall to a lot of people, right? With Daily 5, very, very similar, right? You're saying to people like small commitment, try something different, see how it makes you feel. Like when you started the running, the first thing was all the fear of, am I going to enjoy this? Is this hard work? Do I want to start something I can't continue type scenario, right? Which is always the thing, isn't it? The commitment is, and this is the bit I always kind of laugh about because, when I got serious about doing bodybuilding years ago, I used to get up an hour early every day and I used to get to the gym for 6. I don't do that now, but
you look like you do.
Right, I train. I've got a gym at home now, mate. It's not much of a gym, spare room, whatever, but it's at home, so I've got no excuses. Now it's like 8 o'clock in the evening, right?
Yeah.
And I have to do it now because my youngest one's been training with me, and he's like, "Come, Dad, we're training."
It's amazing,
really. It's like, but it's good, and he's making me do it. But I found the time because I wanted to achieve something. I wanted to hit certain goals. I wanted to win certain trophies and titles and everything else. It's like, well, how am I going to do this? Okay, you've got to get up an hour early every day and you've got to get to the gym and you got to, rather than have that time in bed, you got to do that. You got to, so I had to make a commitment and I had to make a vow and I had to make a promise. That's what I was going to do if I wanted to achieve that thing. And ultimately, when you achieve things in life, you feel really good.
Yeah.
Right? If you couldn't run a mile and you go out and run every day and suddenly you can do a mile when it's fine, great, you feel good. Suddenly it gets easier, you feel amazing. Suddenly it gets easier and suddenly you're running 2 miles and then 5 miles and 10 miles. And when you finish that, and you know this from experience, but the first time you can do it and you feel good when you finish and you've done it a lot faster than you ever could and you've seen the progression has gone from here to here, how good you feel.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like I said, it just depends, each to their own. It's like we're not here to kind of tell everyone to do anything in any particular way, whatever works for you. But yeah, and that's another reason why I keep going back to my running. It's a big part of my life. But everything that Daily 5 exists, I've tried all of it. At some stage in my life. Some for only once or twice, and it wasn't for me, and that's fine. But point I'm getting at is just how you approach it is everything. Because a lot of people that I kind of see, and it kind of breaks my heart sometimes. But like I said, then I kind of just lean into the fact that they do them, I do me. But they use it to kind of put pressure on themselves if they don't hit certain things, or if they're working towards certain goals. And it's just like, yeah, for me, it's never been that type of pressure. I've got enough pressure in my life. But when it comes to being active and being fit and to trying these things and to going a little bit further, to give yourself a pat on the back. Look what you're doing. Look what you're trying to achieve, 100%. You know. But, you know, we're just built differently with competitiveness and eliteness. And so I understand it. There's no judgment there. But, yeah, you know, just be a bit light, you know, with some of it as well. And, you know, because don't let that stop you just because you feel like you're not getting somewhere, like for that to be the excuse to think, oh, what's the point? Well, just change your perspective on it, you know, just kind of you know, and I feel, and that's a big part of Daily 5 as well, is just your relationship with all this stuff, you know, just how you view it, how you experience it, you know.
One of the things I like with Daily 5 is quite often people might say to me, I want to get fit. What would you suggest doing? You know, and it's a question I've had a lot. So you think about it and go, well, find something you enjoy doing. That means getting fit and do it. If you enjoy going for a walk, go for a walk, right? If you enjoy boxing, go and do some boxing, go and hit a punch bag, buy a punch bag, put it up in the garage, whatever it may be. But if you find something you enjoy doing, you'll keep it going. I get the same question on diet when people go, oh, you know, what should I eat? And it's like, you know, traditionally, you know, you might get a lot of PTs go, oh, chicken and rice every day, right? Yeah, great. Can you sustain it? No. You have to create a diet around food you enjoy eating. Because then you can do it every day.
That's another excuse people find, and it's kind of gone into the fabric of things. People don't know what they like to do. So that's why our invitation is to give things a try. Yeah. You know, always reverse engineer it. It's just like, okay, I don't know what I want to do. Well, give it, you know, give it a go.
And, you know, part of what we're going to create between the partnership between VOW and Daily 5 is we're going to give people, you know, that we're going to give the VOW customers and people that use VOW, and the new people that start using VOW as well, we're going to give them the opportunity to give Daily 5 a go. Yeah. Right. And that's kind of on us. And we're as part of that partnership, we're going to let them come in, give it a go, see if they can find something they enjoy doing, something they think they can commit to.
Make their vow.
And make their vow. Yeah. And then, like you say, you know, it's then going to be down to them, down to that individual to go, right, okay, do I want to sacrifice something I do every day for an extra, you know, 5 minutes of doing something that could make a difference to my life, or could be something I find that I never thought I'd ever do, but now I really enjoy it. Yeah. And you know, the crazy thing is you like to look at this and go, gosh, you know, wouldn't it be great in a couple of years or whatever? You've got an instructor on the app whose story is never thought about doing this ever, downloaded the Daily 5 app, started doing it, really enjoyed it, went and studied it, became an instructor, and now I'm on, you know. Yeah. And it's those journeys that are really, really important. And then what's nice on that is it's the fact that then you're part of that journey. The same as somebody who goes, come on, we're going to go for a run, right? That person becomes a big part of your journey. And we live in a very digital world now, right? And people aren't as social as they used to be. People probably don't even have, as much as you might have 1,000 friends on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, people don't really have 1,000 friends. And people have actually probably got less real friends than they've ever had, right? So you are reliant upon technology now being your friend, right? I'm not talking about ChatGPT, but you know, you can download the Daily 5 app, and those instructors and those people on the app can become your new friend, right? That wants to give you something that you didn't do, but that could be changing a life. So I think that you know, that part of the partnership for both of us is going to be really nice, because we're gonna but almost like, you know, the saying, put your money where your mouth is type thing. We're going to say, give it a go, try it, and make a vow, make a promise to yourself, make a commitment, try something you've never done before, see how it changes your life.
I mean, it's just kind of, it's worked out, isn't it? We didn't do this strategically. That's not really a word in my vocabulary, but just so happened that it's happening in around New Year, you know, which is pretty much, you know, when people look, you know, review and reflect and think, okay, what am I taking into this new year, this new beginning? So, yeah, we're not jumping on that train. Like I said, it really just accidentally happened. But yeah, whatever, I'll kind of go back to early part of my story. You know, you can start your year whenever you want. You know, you can start your day whenever you want. But, you know, we are where we are. We're launching when we're launching. So, yeah, if people want to kind of make a commitment to themselves and make that vow, what does that look like? And, yeah, I'm pretty sure that Daily 5 can facilitate our experience within what you want to get up to, and we can meet in the middle and meet you halfway, whatever way you want to describe it. And definitely support your next steps, whether it be, mentally or physically. And because it's important, that we all give ourselves what we deserve in that way, in the intense nature. Like, there is joy, there is happiness, there is inspiration, and to unlock that spirit in all of us is really important. And it's realistic as well. It's not so out of reach. It doesn't take long. It just doesn't always happen instantaneously. So there needs to be a level of grit and determination and want. But like I said, if it was that easy, everyone would do it, and that's why not a lot of people feel like they can, because it's just too much. But what's the worst that's going to happen? Just by pressing play on a few things and by making that vow. And don't beat yourself up, dust yourself off, go again. It's done quite well, dust yourself off, go again. Like, what's the alternative? Throughout this whole journey for me, even with Daily 5 and other things I've got up to in my endeavours, I always look like, what's the alternative? And I'm still here. So that's the thing. You've got to keep on marching, and and that's, bottom line is all these fancy words, making vows, Daily 5, variety, discovery, blah blah blah. Some days it's that good old fashioned, just no matter what, just keep on going. You just got to dive deep. Real deep.
So
and we all know that. Well, we all know that
life will knock you down.
Well, we've all had. I would imagine most of the people coming across this would have had a moment in time when they thought, "Cool, when's this one going to end?" This has been going on for a bit too long. You should just kind of just march on.
Personally, I think that happens to everybody. Right?
Yeah.
I think different ways, different experiences, but I think everybody goes through highs and lows. It's part of life.
Yeah. And making vow ain't there to beat yourself up. Isn't there to kind of corrupt your mind and think you're no good. It's there to serve you. It's there to kind of what's your next step? What's the next right thing to do? What's that next decision you need to make? And then with that, hopefully the path is more inspirational than not.
It's about creating a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and the tunnel's dark. Right? So everybody needs that bit of light. They can
and also that eventuality might not always be what you thought it was going to be. And that's the beautiful thing of life, just the different directions you can go in, not for the randomness and to kind of, okay, where am I going? If anything, it's the complete opposite. Just, one thing leads to another thing, and, you meet people, and that's beautiful as well. It can be an adventure, a really positive adventure, just by trying these things and giving yourself a pat on the back every now and again and kind of going down that path.
No, mate, completely agree. Changing the subject a little bit now. And I know we touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking, but I think it's a big one for me and a big one for Val, because it's almost like, we all know when we make a commitment, when it starts something. It's like, you mentioned giving up smoking. Quite often, people go 4 or 5 weeks and they break and they have one, and then they go, that's it. They back smoking, another year, they quit again. When really they should have maybe had half of the one, thrown it down the toilet and gone, no, I'm going to get back onto it. And you mentioned about the freedom side of that once you do that, right? So we almost have to kind of be realistic, when we get people to make a vow and they're going to train, they're going to take supplements, they're going to download a Daily 5 app, start something. Chances are people may figure to do it one day, right? So they've gone, right, I'm going to do a 10-week plan. 2 days in, I didn't do it. And then it's almost like, what advice would you give to that kind of person? And what would you say to that person who missed the one day, who's then going, I might as well sack it now, And it's almost, do you know what I mean? Because not everybody has that mindset. And I know I mentioned it, and I used doing the diet when I was doing bodybuilding as a bit of an analogy, where I used to eat something bad. And I remember having a conversation with a really good friend of mine who also did it. He was a world champion, amazing. And I remember him saying to me, God, I had one square of chocolate one day. Next minute, I'm walking around Tesco's with a trolley filling it up with cakes and chocolate, where literally lost the plot. And it's having that mindset to go, no, okay, missed it one day, or I did this wrong that day, straight back on it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff that we shared, just comes with time and experience and evidence and, the way you approach things in your late teens to your mid-20s, as a father, as a wife, as a work colleague, depending on what our kind of environments are on a daily basis, where we're on a life cycle, our approach will be different. Like I said, it kind of always goes back to how much do we want it. but then kind of creating that mindset, which only happens after falling over, in inverted commas, or maybe not sticking to something, to kind of, have that resilience to kind of keep going, and, a lot of it for me is definitely just, okay, what's the alternative? Okay, I'll just give up now, or do I kind of keep on going, but that takes time.
It's funny, isn't it? It's human nature to feel guilty and beat yourself up about stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
But also, so some of it is just trying to relate it to some of what I've gone through personally and professionally, is some of it. So sometimes you need to walk away or kind of give it a bit of space, because you can get so immersed in it and so obsessive about it, which isn't why you want to do it either. So it's just like, okay, for me to obsess is to deny, so if this thing is taking over me and I'm just getting so, it's just being there's a suffering within it because it's coming at any cost. That's not what we're trying to, that's not what we're trying to create either. So there's always have a level of guidance around you and a level of wisdom, because sometimes it's wise to walk away. If it is creating more harm than good, create another positive habit, because that's not positive, and so, there's a bit of a dance with this, and it's kind of depending on kind of what's going on, or kind of, how you're thinking and feeling. But I suppose you only find this stuff out by doing it,
I suppose the thing with Daily 5 is, well, what you've got is, if you don't, or you stop enjoying the thing that you're doing, you can find something else.
Yeah, well, there's a lot's gone into the fabric of this. There's a lot of lived experience that's gone into this, and what kind of does work and doesn't work for me. And like I said, I'm not unique. So as a light touch, the accessibility and the time and the variety and everything that I've kind of shared about has kind of gone into hopefully creating that mindset within the individuals, for them to kind of, just kind of get a sense of what is, because, to live is to feel. We're not promising happiness on Daily 5. I know everyone wants to make their vow in seek of happiness, or to come, more, just more tuned in maybe, or a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just, a bit more comforting, in ourselves and our own lived experience. So we're all seeking something, no one wants no dramas, or, a lot of people don't want the drama of life and to get caught up in stuff that doesn't really matter to us. But like I said, we're drawn in some ways. But Daily 5 is realistic with our approach. We're not, we're not a happiness app that's going to guarantee happiness all the time. We need to, don't deny the feelings. Sometimes it's okay to be angry, sad, laughing, joking, whatever. It's just it's all part of it, and that's where the Move, Connect, Reflect comes into it. But don't let any of this stuff stop you from taking that best next step, and whatever that vow is to yourself. Just it sounds like you come up with that vow in particular. You might have had to scrape around a little bit, but I think most of us identify in the moment something we need to improve at, or maybe be better, show a better level of consistency at. And so just lean into your why. It's your stereotypical stuff really. When you strip away the story, okay, why am I doing this? What is it going to, and it doesn't always got to serve me. Am I going to be a better person for this? The people around me going to benefit from me making this vow, and let them be the leader, and then you'll figure out your reason why as you're doing it, because that energy and that level of understanding far outweighs the selfishness. I need to look a certain way, or like I said, whatever. There's no judgment there.
And it's interesting because it's you're making these vows and these promises for you, right? Yeah. No one else, you. And that's why you can do Daily 5 in secret. Yeah, you could become a pretty good hip hop dancer in secret. Yeah, right. Yeah. And I think
might take me a little bit longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
But like I said, as us being the best versions of ourselves, other people do, will of course benefit as well.
So I think kind of finishing there. One question I've got to ask you. I think the other thing is we'll probably put kind of a link down below, or a link on screen, or QR code or something, where people can download a trial of Daily 5, so that we give them the opportunity through this to give it a go, make a vow, make a promise, make a commitment to yourself. So I'm going to kind of, last question for you is on that basis is, what's your vow? What vow is Mark going to make here and now, but it's going to be the next 6 months, 12 months?
Yeah. Well, I've been inspired over the last period of time actually, but there's a big sense in me that I want to dive into the Tai Chi world. I just think it's amazing. I don't look at it, but I'm getting older. My ability, moving energy around the body, that more kind of lighter, less physical, kind of being active, And some good friends of mine teach it. They're on the Daily 5 platform, but also some good friends of mine, it's really served them well. And so there's definitely something in it I'm very curious about. And so I want to kind of create my own practice around Tai Chi and be a lot more consistent at it, have some digital and in-person experiences around it, and see where that path takes me. So my vow is to dive into the Tai Chi world.
I like that. Maybe we'll ask people to put some comments in if they download the app, how they've found Daily 5, what vows they've decided to make.
Yeah.
On the back of watching this, and obviously on the back of downloading the app. But listen, really appreciate your time, Mark. I think this is a really exciting journey for me. I think both brands just align really well. I mean, I think we align well, and I think at the end of the day, I suppose we are the brand to some degree, right? As much as we don't really ever look at it that way, we are, because what we kind of want to mold it and make it is what it becomes, right? Because everything begins with a vision. You create the vision of Daily 5, I create the vision of VOW, and we're both trying to make what that vision is. And by giving a little something back to people and doing things right, generally make you feel good, right? And I think there's something in that. But listen, really appreciate your time. I'm massively excited about this partnership. Can't wait to do this again, because I think we're going to have a lot more to talk about kind of next time, and where we are. We can talk about how things have gone, and I think hopefully we can start to share stories from people that have downloaded the app, have started to follow a plan, have made commitments, maybe fell off, came back, made a change, did something, because it's all there for everything to be used. So I'm really excited, mate. So listen, really appreciate you coming in and having a chat with us.
Yeah, no, grateful. Yeah, so am I. Very, very excited. So yeah,
Amazing.
cool.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.